What are beauty filters? Well, many apps nowadays have them, from Instagram to Snapchat. Beauty filters are popular tools that many people use when taking photos. And these filters are often used to glamorize what may have once been a very dull photo by making it sparkle or giving it a pop of color. But why am I talking about beauty filters today? Well, it might seem a bit random at first, but take a moment to think about how happy you are with your everyday life. For many of us, as we grow older, pressure grows alongside us, stripping away that carefree feeling we often felt as kids. As we grow older, our responsibilities, such as school or a job, begins to take up more and more of our time. And gradually, our days may start to seem slow and mundane and boring. Well, during times like these, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could put a beauty filter over our life? Something that adds a hint of glamour and excitement to our everyday routine, and something that gives us the motivation to keep moving forward. Well, luckily for us, there indeed is something in our everyday life that act like life's beauty filters. Hobbies. In the fast-paced society that we live in today, many students want a perfect lifestyle, one that would allow them to excel in both their current and future lives. Oh my God, I need at least a 90 on my next test in order to maintain my average. Did I just gain weight? I should definitely cut down on those calories. Alex told me that the test was hard. Maybe I should pull an all-nighter to study. Thoughts like these constantly fill the minds of many individuals on a daily basis as they stress themselves out in an attempt to balance a lifestyle of academic and physical perfection. However, to maintain a lifestyle like that is nearly inhuman. You know, as good as the 21st century is, giving us luxuries such as cell phones and electric cars, it also comes with the accompanying stress of achieving a high level of education, securing a good job, and maintaining a vast social network. Nowadays, many students have almost no time to engage in their hobbies or leisure activities. In fact, some people may even see hobbies as a waste of time. But what a serious misconception. As a matter of fact, hobbies are what drives us forward. They are what gives us the energy and resolve to push through our challenges. And ultimately, they are what helps us excel and shatter our boundaries. Think back to the golden ages of our lives, childhood. For many of us, hobbies developed during those wonderful years filled with ample time and not a care in the world. But stop the rewind and cut to the present. Do you still engage in those hobbies? Do you still engage in any sorts of hobbies? For some of us, the answer is yes. But for many others, the answer may unfortunately be no. And the reason behind it is as cruel and simple as this. They don't think it has value. Over time, society's values change and fluctuate. But as competition grows more intense with every new generation, what is deemed worthy of time gradually becomes more and more limited. Nowadays, academics have taken the spotlight, and many teens tend to think that if their hobbies are not somehow related to a school-taught subject, they would abandon it in an attempt to focus on what's important. And as a result of this, many students became ashamed of their hobbies, thinking that others would judge them for wasting their time. And back then, I, amongst many other people, unfortunately fell into this mindset as well. For me, high school was nothing like what they showed on TV. Television always glamorizes the high school experience by showing only the fun time spent with friends or the many parties that people would attend. But for me, it was filled with loads of schoolwork, anxiety over who I should sit next to at lunch, and pain from not understanding math or science homework. As of now, I go to St.Robert Catholic High School. And keep in mind, this school is quite far from my area. So when I just started grade 9, I had no friends to start with. In fact, both grades 9 and 10 were both really stressful and disastrous for me, both academically and socially. But the biggest mistake that I have made back then was the decision to abandon my hobbies for drawing, painting, and watching television shows. And I did this because I thought that my hobbies were not useful in my academic career. So instead, I forced myself into clubs that I had no interests in. From business clubs to science fairs, I tried whatever seemed impressive in other people's minds. But as expected, since these activities were done forcibly, the results were not ideal. And it was all, unfortunately, a waste of time. However, simply wasting time wasn't the biggest mistake. In fact, the most serious consequence was actually what it did to my mental health. At this school, I already had no friends to start off with, and the academic pressures were very high. So this would impact my sleep schedule, as I would always stay up late trying to memorize French verbs, math equations, as well as what to do with my social life at school. And soon, this started to take a toll on my view on life. Every day started to seem more and more empty and mundane. And I kept thinking to myself, why am I still getting up in the morning every single day? I had absolutely no motivation. Nothing excited me at all. And I was stuck in a constant cycle of unhappiness and repetition. But back then, I didn't know what else there was to do. So I kept doing things for the sake of impressing others. And this charade continued on, seemingly without end. However, little did I know, things took an unexpected turn near the end of grade 10 when the pandemic hit. When everything unfortunately shut down in March, there was a period of free time for me. And since schools are still figuring out what to do back then, there were actually nights where I could sleep without having to stress about my academic and social life. However, despite this break from school, every day somehow felt even emptier than it did before. It always felt like something was missing, something that was previously occupied by loads of tedious schoolwork and extracurricular activities. And I had thought that my school pressures were the only reasons that I was unhappy. But it turns out that I was missing something important. And this thing was a spark of passion and excitement for life. So near the start of April, I revisited my hobbies. I started off by making small doodles on scraps of paper and rewatching some of my favorite TV shows. And soon, this slow but small start really took off. And once again, I was able to remember just how much I loved doing these activities. In fact, I even began to expand my reach. I started to teach myself how to work with art through digital mediums, and I started to watch new shows that I love even to this day. In fact, I am still currently working on an acrylic painting that I started all the way from last summer. Through the rediscovery of my hobbies, I gained something that I haven't felt in a very long time: resolve. I actually had motivation to wake up in the morning and face my challenges, and I felt determined to live life to the fullest extent. And I know saying all of this sounds very cheesy and overdramatic, but let me tell you, that's just how transformative a hobby can be. Well, that was my personal experience with how life-changing a hobby is, but it's not just me who feels this way. In fact, there are many scientific studies out there that show how having a hobby or a leisure activity can actually lead to an increased amount of happiness. For example, back in 2015, there was a study conducted that was titled Real-Time Associations Between Engaging in Leisure and Daily Health and Well-Being. Long name, I know, but in this study, the researchers conducted an experiment. And within this experiment, 100 adults went about their daily activities wearing heart monitors. And several times throughout the day, they would be asked regarding their emotional state and their feelings. After 3 days of this experiment, the researchers found something very interesting. For those adults who said they had a hobby or a leisure activity, they felt 34% less stressed and 18% happier while doing these activities. And not only did they reportedly feel happier, they also had a relatively lower heart rate in comparison to the others. And this calming effect generated by these hobbies were able to last for several hours on end. On top of all of this, in 2017, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, even did a presentation that talked about how important having a hobby was towards building your personal character. Zuckerberg explained that having a hobby was incredibly important in the workplace because it showed prospective employers that you are an individual with passion and drive. So there you have it. Having a hobby not only works in your favor when trying to apply to a job or a university, but more importantly, it comes with psychological and physical benefits. And it gives you the motivation to push forwards and face your challenges with a positive attitude. So for those of you out there who once gave up on a hobby that you love, I highly recommend you to revisit them, no matter what they might be. From gardening to binging movie marathons, embrace these hobbies as a part of you. And for those out there who continue to pursue their hobbies over these years, continue to do what you love and continue to be proud of what you do. Because ultimately, our hobbies act as a beauty filter over what may originally be a dull life. And they give us the motivation to push forward towards being the best version of ourselves. In our lives, we're always talking about breaking our personal limits and excelling. But how can any of those be possible in the first place without a positive attitude towards life? We all need something in our everyday life that gives us motivation, something that lifts our spirits, and something that gives us resolve to keep moving forward even during the most boring of days. So to quote my favorite manga artist of all time, Hirohiko Araki once said that having resolve is the ability to open up a path we need to follow within the darkness. So yes, life may be hopeless and dark at times, but during those times, we all need a hobby to act as our guiding light and push us towards doing better. Because only then can we truly feel all the wonders that life has to offer. Only then can we work towards our goals with ambition and drive. And only then can we truly create change that goes beyond ourselves. So once again, hobbies are life's beauty filters. They allow us to see life in a more colorful and positive light. So take advantage of your hobbies and continue to hone your skills. Use them to create your own happiness without relying on others, because ultimately, that is the key to truly elevating yourself. Thank you.